A reflection for the seventh Sunday after Pentecost. Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever. From today's Gospel, the Gospel of St. Matthew. At that time Jesus said to his disciples, "Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. By their fruits you will know them. Do men gather grapes from thorns or figs from thistles? Even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them. Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven shall enter the kingdom of heaven. Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' shall enter the kingdom of heaven." Words were cheap then and they're cheap now. They multiply. They multiply particularly now because we can copy them and distribute them all over the place. And indeed, we can do it almost anonymously. Emotions of the moment are cheap. I love you. One can only use that so many times a day before inflation sets in. Words can become meaningless. They need to have a backing. For decades, even centuries, the economic theory was to back all paper money with gold, as if the gold was real and the paper wasn't. They felt that perhaps without backing it up with gold, then there would be inflation. Our words need to be backed. Remember the proverb, actions speak louder than words. Today that's rather overlooked. The irony or the paradox is that we have a world where strangers trade accusations on the social media. All we know of them are words on the phone. But those words have become very dangerous. And the consequences are not just on paper, even virtual paper. Maureen Martin was a mayoral candidate for the Christian People's Alliance in Lewisham. She wrote in the official booklet, as all of the candidates were offered to do. She wrote a very measured statement. "I pledge to cut through political correctness and simply state the truth that natural marriage between a man and a woman is the fundamental building block for a successful society and the safest environment for raising children." Now, Catholics can hold this statement. We might ask a question what she means about natural marriage, and we would go further and say that marriage is only between a man and a woman, and the validity of a sacramental marriage is determined by Catholic doctrine for those who are baptized. But Maureen Martin faced accusations of hate speech for what she said in the booklet, and she worked for a housing association. And after the election was over, which is interesting in itself, I was dismissed with immediate effect for defying the company's inclusion policy, which appears not to include Christianity. There may be more to the story than meets the eye, but words are powerful and they can get you sacked. Cancel culture intimidates. Do you feel you have freedom of speech to express and defend your faith at work? To do so in social circumstances, to do it with the teachers of your children on parents' evening? The word inclusive is anything but. It becomes a lie. The new morality, the new Puritanism, distorts true morality. Where words or actions go together, where love means something. Now, To say nothing to hide our faith is dangerous for society and indeed for ourselves. People might think that we are an easy pushover. But there's something worse. To live in contradiction of what we say we believe is even more dangerous, and actions do speak louder than words. Contrary to classic Protestant teaching, faith without works is dead. We read that in the Epistle of James. Lord, Lord, sounds as if we are putting our faith in God, but it could just be worthless paper money, not backed up by gold. And it's not just the good deeds we want to do either, it's the will of God. For many people, that sounds like duty, it sounds like something unpleasant. But that's because they really don't know God. They don't have a relationship. They don't understand the love of God. The will of God and the love of God mean that we are willing and able and really delight to do His will. We have this expression about fruit in the gospel today, the consequence of our actions, we might say. Sometimes when we do a good deed, we expect a reward. We might think that if we work hard, we'll get on in life, that'll be the fruit. But I don't think that's entirely the case in this particular gospel. Fruits are qualities relevant to our character, our relationships. And we might refer to Galatians 5. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. That's rather more than a punnet of strawberries on the shelf in the supermarket. If we love God and our neighbour and act accordingly, not just saying, Lord, Lord, then we will begin to see a change in ourselves. It's not fruit that a farmer might produce at harvest time. And I say that because the gospel refers to the thorn bush that can never produce anything in the way of fruit. We might say that an apple tree might stop producing apples, but it will never become a thorn bush. And you're wasting your time looking in a thorn bush for apples. There's something deeper involved here. Beware of false prophets, we read in the gospel, who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. It's actually quite a bit stronger in the Vulgate. These false prophets, qui veniunt ad vos in vestimentis ovium intrinsicus autem sunt lupi rapaces. Intrinsicus, inside. In one sense, the fruits of the Spirit aren't tangible nor an outcome. People are looking for quick results, they're looking for things they can see immediately. But we can still ask the question, where do the fruits of the Spirit get us to? You have your fruit unto sanctification. In other words, to become holy. Holiness means that we become Christ-like. We enter more closely into relationship with Him. Is heaven a reward for a good life? Listening to eulogies at funerals, you'd think so. Of course not. We respond to the offer of grace, the free gift. The hard lifting was done by Jesus on the Via Dolorosa and supremely on the cross, where He lifted and took away our sins. If our words are backed by our actions, if we let the Spirit work, then that sort of holiness will begin inside, intrinsicus. It's a bit like, I suppose, making dough before those bread machines. The Spirit kneads into us, as it were, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control into our very souls. You know, I think sometimes when we have things that go against us in life and, we wonder why the Lord allowed them, we probably think of them a bit in the way of breaking down on the motorway, and we call the emergency breakdown service, and they come out to solve our problem. No, it's the Lord allowing us to have the challenge so that the Spirit can work, kneading into us those qualities, so that ultimately, yes, we can become the saints that we admire. That holiness means that we become Christ-like. Some of you will go through border controls this summer. Many of those border controls have gone over to scanning our passports, and then we step forward and a bright light comes on and they recognize our faces. Machines will never know who we are. But I ask you this question. Will God recognize the face of his Son in us when we are summoned to the most important border control of all? I pray that he will, for you and for me. Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever.